Hi everyone, it's Mr. Watu here, back for RC 5.3. The topic is fables. So the objective of this part of the RC is understanding the elements of a fable story. You can also refer to the table at the beginning of your RC. So what is a fable? Fables are stories used to teach lessons. Usually animals act like human beings, so that's personification. And they're usually short, they're not very long, and they're usually concluded by a moral lesson. So some important elements to remember for fables are animals are usually the main characters, the plot is simple, the stories teach a lesson or a moral. Uh, Setting is usually commonplace, non-specific, could be in the jungle, could be anywhere really, and author often uses personification. The most famous ones would be the Aesop fables. So here's the story that I chose. This is an example that I thought would be suitable to share with you. It's The Ant and the Dove. It's by Aesop, who writes many fables. And I'll read it to you first. A dove saw an ant fall into a brook. The ant struggled in vain to reach the bank, and in pity, the dove dropped a blade of straw close beside it. Clinging to the straw like a shipwrecked sailor to a broken spar, the ant floated safely to shore. Soon after, the ant saw a man getting ready to kill the dove with a stone. But just as he cast the stone, the ant stung him in the heel, so that the pain made him miss his aim, and the startled dove flew to safety in a distant wood. And at the bottom, it sums up the story's moral, which is kindness is never wasted. So, what we can learn from this story is even though the dove had no need to help the ant, it felt sorry for him, it felt pity for him, so he dropped a piece of straw around the ant, hopefully that it could cling onto it and save itself. Although the dove had no need to do that, that was an act of kindness from the dove. And somehow that act of kindness was rewarded later when the same ant somehow saved the dove from being killed. And so the ant repaid the dove, and the dove's kind act also helped him out when he least suspected it. So now that we've read a fable and we've gone over the elements of a fable, let's try a stab at a few questions. Um, Number one, you'll find these questions from your RC actually, but they're not the same. Which of the following would make the best character for a story with a fable? 1. A basketball. 2. A businessman. 3. A rock star. 4. A talking mouse. So from the previous slides, what we've understood about fables, the answer should be quite obvious. There are 3 incorrect ones, and there's only one correct answer here. Now, the second sample question we have is also from your RC. Which of the following would make the best plot for a story with a fable? So again, what we've understood from the previous slides, fable is usually a short story with animals acting like humans, and we learn a moral lesson at the end. So let's look at the options. Number 1, a revenge story. A romantic story. Number 2. Number 3, an action-adventure story. Number 4, the protagonist learns a moral lesson at the end. And the key word there is the moral lesson, so we know that is part of the fable elements. So we can definitely be safe to say that number 4 is the correct answer. Now that we've done 2 examples, let's look at the third question here. Which of the following would be the best story style for a fable story? Here we have 4 options again. Option A, where a character learns nothing. Option B, where a character goes through an experience and should learn something but doesn't. Option C, a character that learns something and uses that in his life in the future. And option D, a character that teaches people what to do. Okay, so immediately I think we can eliminate two of the options where the character doesn't learn anything, and it would be between two options where he does learn something or he teaches something to people. Now, since this is in your RC, I won't disclose the answer, but I've given you some hints here. Question 4 from your RC, which is exactly how it is, I've taken it from there. Which of the following would be the best tone for a Fable story? A, this is about a superhero that loses their power. B, this is about a magician that breaks their wand. C, this is about a dog that can't find its way home. D, this is about a lazy grasshopper that doesn't collect enough food during the summer. I think given all the examples we've done and me explaining, the answer should be quite obvious for this one. Now again, because this is in your RC, I won't give you the answer, but you will get to do your RC in Google Form version, so I'll look forward to seeing your answers there. To conclude our PowerPoint here on Fable fiction elements, I've included the table that is also in your RC in the beginning with the fantasy fiction elements as well. The Fable fiction elements table is here to sort of guide you. So here it tells you in very simple terms, characters are usually personification of animals, meaning animals act like human beings, they can talk, they have problems like humans. Setting anytime, any place, meaning it can be in the forest, like a lot of the Aesop fables, could be at night, could be at day. Doesn't really, there are no really restrictions to where the setting can be. The plot, however, it always teaches you a moral meaning a lesson. So the character will learn something. Sometimes it's about being humble, sometimes it's about being kind, like the example I chose. The character of the pigeon learns the moral of being kind, can always come back and repay you in some way, so it's best to be kind to everybody. Because in the story, he didn't really want to save the ant, but it felt pity for the ant, so he placed a straw beside it so it wouldn't drown, and it clung on to the straw, and it felt thankful, and it saved the pigeon later on. So kindness is never wasted, was the moral of that story. So the style of the story and the tone of the story usually is involved with passing on wisdom or a moral. So, for example, the tortoise and the hare. The hare was way too confident, took a nap, overslept, and the tortoise beat him in a race. So the moral was not to underestimate your opponent and not to be overconfident. Always be humble. And so a lot of Aesop fables, they always have a moral at the end. So if you're interested, you can check some of those out. Hopefully, I have given you enough help here to tackle your RC worksheets. All the best, and hopefully I'll see you soon for the next part of when we do these PowerPoint presentations. Good luck, everybody.